And we are back. It's your man Odell for Odell's Roundtable, and we are joined by our special guest tonight. Let me just give a brief introduction. Our guest tonight is basically what I would call an innovator in the alcohol spirits industry, in branded entertainment, getting a start working with festivals like the Jazz and Heritage Festival in New Orleans, Essence Festival, then going on to working with the Pennsylvania visitors, exactly, right? And then also being a marketing director on help launch the spirit industry's first reality TV show, Master the Mix, Smirnoff. I remember watching it with Kid Capri and Victor Duplay and everything. Okay, I remember that. And currently right now a senior lifestyle manager with the Fader, as well as doing lifestyle programming for the world's first cognac, Martell, and also the Prestige Champagne House. You have
Perry Jouet.
Perry Jouet. Okay, there we go. Yep. And also recent collaborations with the Home by Martell, with the Martell Swift. I mean, basically that campaign, and make sure you follow that hashtag with the Home by Martell.
Yeah, Home by Martell ATL.
Home by Martell ATL. Follow that hashtag. I mean, it's generating millions upon unique visitors in a short amount of time. I mean, we're working with all kind of musical entertainers and whatnot. But without further ado, I want to introduce Karim Lateef. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to be here, man.
Hey, we are glad to have you. We're glad to have you. We blessed the table with some Martell as well.
Absolutely.
Kind of add to the scenery. Real quick, so you moved to Atlanta 2014 from D.C.
Yeah.
Talk about that and that move and what kind of inspired that and how you feel about this move so far.
All right, so, just a bit out there. I'm basically from the South. I was born in Selma.
All right, Alabama connection. See?
I was born in Selma, Alabama. I went to, my last few years of high school, I went to Mobile. I moved down to Mobile. I went to Alabama School of
My
Science.
sister's in Mobile right now.
And then I went to New Orleans for college. And after I left New Orleans, that's when I started the East Coast. I just moved to Baltimore,
right.
And on Philadelphia and on down to D.C.
Okay.
But during that time, I got married. So one of the reasons why I moved back here was my wife and I wanted to get back to the South, wanted to get back to our family, get back to our moms and dads and stuff. Aging, closer. You know what I'm saying, getting older.
Yeah.
And that travel back and forth was becoming a lot. So we wanted to move back closer to home. So that's pretty much what happened.
Wow.
So that pretty much was the start. And then from there, I had to reinvent myself. I left my job at Diageo at the time. I was looking for a change anyway.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a reason, an excuse to do it.
Yeah.
So when I moved, I had to reinvent myself and, started consulting and then landed into Martell. So
exactly. And, and we're going to get to that. It's going back to the beginning, man, because, it's funny, right? People see what's going on right now, right? So they see the social media and they see all these different things. But I like to look at, the backdrop and the resume because they don't see they might see you hanging out with Quavo of the Migos, right? But they don't see the fact that, you earned a marketing degree from Xavier University. That's not no lightweight type school, right?
Definitely not.
And then you go on to obtain your MBA from LaSalle University now. So, because we're in a world right now today of everybody's an influencer. Everybody's in their bio. Everybody is this.
Everybody's a star.
Everybody's a star, man.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is sometimes people, that resume and that work ethic and setting up the stage. Talk about that because I think that's being missed sometimes.
The thing about it, it's going to come back to haunt you. Like if you don't do the due diligence, if you don't get the education, if you don't smarten up, eventually you're going to have to use that. Eventually, you're gonna have to move beyond just the social media, likes and the impressions that you're getting, and you're gonna have to put your if you say you're a marketer, you say you're an influencer, you're gonna have to back that up with statistics. You're gonna back that up with meeting KPIs and key performance indicators.
Performance indicators. If you don't know that, you're already messing up. You don't even know what a KPI is.
You're gonna have to prove. You have to show and prove. So you can't just live behind just the light of I got 1 million followers because once Instagram does that purge and eliminate all those ghost followers and all those bot followers, robots, you're gonna be back to a normal human being. It's gonna be an even level playing field. So You're gonna have to rely on your skills, your hard skills, and those hard skills are stuff you learn in school. You don't have to go to like a traditional college.
Exactly.
You can go. You can take classes now. You could take. But I'm just saying, if you're about the business of marketing, take a marketing class. You ain't got to get a marketing degree. Take a marketing class, and you understand the foundations and the fundamentals.
Yeah.
So you understand when we have a conversation, what I'm saying.
Well, no, it's so. I'm so glad you said that because it's so heavy, right? Like you said, even when you say KPIs, I knew what a KPI was, but like you said, some people who claim to be marketers don't even know what a KPI is. But it also reminds me of a conversation I had with Shay Lawson. She's an attorney, and I had her on the show not too long ago. And we were talking about that because I said the good thing about her being an attorney is that she don't have to worry about the influencer type thing because if you're an attorney or not. You pass the bar exam or you're not. But like you said, in these fields that we do with media, things like that, people can just claim to be something and don't have to show and prove. Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it, influencer, that term is going to go away because it's like if everybody's an influencer, who are they influencing? I mean, it always comes down to if everybody's an influencer, who are you influencing? Right. If everybody's influencing everybody.
Man, listen.
It's null and void. The term is null and void.
It's funny you said it because I hadn't thought about it literally, but that is so true because like you said, it's like it's almost like people don't want to be an audience no more. Like everybody has to take part. Like I've gotten to a point now, luckily, where I've seen a lot of good artists, right, perform. So, and I go to cover it for the websites and things that I work for, but a lot of times what I either do is I've seen somebody perform before, so I'll just be an audience person, right?
Right.
And even if I'm doing media or something, I'm like, okay, let me get some photos and some video real quick, and let me just enjoy the concert. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let me be a fan again. Because like you said, like even in a fan of an audience, right, there's not even fans no more. Like everybody's a media person.
Everybody, and it's like everybody's there not even to enjoy the show. They're there to show people that
they went to the show.
Weren't there, that they were there. So it's not even like people are not even living life anymore. It's just like, hey, I was here, you weren't here.
Yeah. So I was at the show and you weren't.
So who's the man? In that sense, the people that you're trying to prove something to, they are the influencers. Like what I'm saying, your haters are your influencers. Like they're influencing you to make your decision that you're making to post that and not enjoy the show.
I don't know if y'all caught that one.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if y'all caught that one.
Yeah, but it's
a good thing that's being recorded. So we have to run that one back, man. You say, "Ooh, wow, that's so true." We can go on for that all day. So let me move on because I could. But I'm glad you said that because that is such a true fact. But moving on, like it's funny because once again, I said people see what you're doing now and they see everything's going on, right? And they see the great relationships you have and stuff. But I know that looking back on it, it wasn't like the red carpet was rolled out for you in this industry, right? It wasn't like it wasn't like they just rolled the red.
I'm from Selma, Alabama, man. Like people joke on Alabama, like everybody jokes on Alabama.
I know.
You think it was easy for me? I'm not from New York. I'm not from LA. Come on, man.
Right. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. So I already know exactly even my friends. I have great friends now. We still joke. I mean, whether it be my boy Jay Force or somebody like that, or my DC people, you lived in DC, so you know how they go.
Bama,
you know what I'm saying? So, but talk about, like, because here's the thing, right? The red carpet wasn't rolled out for you. And the thing is that you push past those no's. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of people, that's what the message I want people to get is because, like I was saying earlier, like those no's are coming. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
It's coming.
Those no's are coming.
It's going to be a lot more of them than yeses.
How did you push past those no's? And like you said, also being armed, that you're from Selma, Alabama, they're going to point that out. They're going to point these things. You don't have these New York connections, these LA connections. How did you push past those no's?
Being able to work for free. I think I had to kind of like prove myself. So like I had to get the education, so I could back it up with credentials like the academia. Yeah. I could respond in the right language to talk to these executives and talk to people in the way that they converse in the boardroom. I could jump in the boardroom and I could talk to them. And aside from that, since I didn't have the experience, I had to work for free. So I spent a lot of years just like, hey, let me help you with this. Hey, bring me in, let me intern, let me do this. Yeah, how can I serve you? Like, let me come in and do this, and I prove myself over and over and over. Yeah. Willing to, work for free, take jobs at lesser pay, to show that I can do the job. Right. So I think that's something that's missing nowadays. People are not willing to work for free. Everybody want to get paid. Everybody, you know your worth. You should definitely know your worth. You should absolutely know your worth. Right. But at the same time, you got to put in work so that the world also sees your worth as well. Like you got to. It's not just you knowing your worth. Listen, you got to reflect it.
It's big picture, and once again, it's funny too because I had James Lewis here, young brother, who I've had a chance to help out and work with, and he was saying because I was asking him about that same question, and how they push past a lot of no's. He's from Michigan, from Grand Rapids. He's like, it's not for Detroit, not for these different areas, but he was saying that he said Odell, what changed for him was that he said, how can I serve you? How can I serve? Yep. How can I assist? And the thing he said also in that conversation is playing your position. And my brother Jay Force, he and I always talk about this. A lot of times we can almost see when something's going to crumble because somebody in that role don't want to play their position in that part, right? Which it doesn't mean you're always going to be getting coffee. It doesn't mean you're always going to be assisted.
Get cheesecake.
Shout out to Diddy. It doesn't mean you're always going to be doing this, but it's like if you play your role for this amount of time, like, how do you feel about that? I know you see this in the game as well.
I mean, you definitely have to think long term. Like everything, you got to think about the marathon, man. But people are so quick to run the race and win the sprints. Like you got to think about long term, and then think about like this. You got to look at it like, how is this going to set me up for the next step? It's not even about this step; it's about the next step. So a lot of things I did was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna sweat this out now because I know it's gonna set me up for the next step. Like me, I didn't get paid nothing when I was working for like Essence and Festival. I got paid, but it was like, oh, but I got access. So sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the access and the resources, that you're gonna get. And then sometimes, like going back to navigating the no's and the yeses, I mean, sometimes you gotta like create it yourself. So sometimes, I mean, in this world, you gotta have a balance of like work for hire and then like creating your own. And then when you creating your own, then people see the skin in the game. Even if it's small, minute, it's like just creating your own. People see that, they see it. Because sometimes when you're a creative person and you're a visionary, you got people that may fund your idea, but they're not visionary. So they don't see it. They can't connect to your vision. Yeah. But if you do like a little microcosm, a little small, model of what you're thinking, then they can, oh, I get it. I got it. Okay.
Right.
Can I say something real quick?
Go
so
right
one of the most like profound things I heard that helped me out a long time ago was like Pharrell made this comment like when you're communicating with people, you got to understand how they process information. It's like when you got to listen to cues. So when somebody says like I feel you, that means you got to communicate in the way that they feel you. Somebody says I hear you, you got to communicate in the way that is wordy, the way that makes sense. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a person that's a creator, that's a visual person. So you gotta be very like very, very observing and understanding who you're talking to, because everybody processes information differently. There's no one size fit all the way you communicate with people and how you win them over. So like that's kind of one thing I picked up early on too. I realized like when I'm trying to get my idea across, I look at who's going to be the decision maker to make that happen. So I'm not wasting my time. So I'm qualifying people. I'm really qualifying
people. Oh my God,
that's really important to qualify them. And then also when you qualify them, how does that person process information? Are they a person that need to see it to believe it? Right. Are they a person that believe it off the jump? They're early adopter. They get it.
Let me jump in real quick, because I wanted to run something back. I want people to catch that. Right. For one, in order for you to know how people process information and how they listen, the first key is just listening. And I think that's the problem as well, is that you have to listen and really listen, not listen to reply, but just listen to learn and listen to hear something. So that's the only way you're going to know that, okay, this is how this person's going to process it, because this is how I'm listening to learn. I just think that is so true. And also too is qualifying the people who can make the decisions, because that's something that I've always told people that I try to work with, is that sometimes people get caught up with the window dressing. They get caught up with the fanfare and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, man, listen, you need to worry about usually the person you need to talk to is not going to be posting on social media.
Nah, man. That's how you go to LinkedIn, man. Sometimes you got to go to LinkedIn. Sometimes you be on there. You got to play all the platforms.
You got to play all the platforms. And speaking of LinkedIn, I follow you on LinkedIn. That's very true.
Yeah, man. I have people that I converse with on LinkedIn that don't mess with Instagram at all. Like they don't understand it. For one, they don't even work it. Right. When you see them on Instagram, it's like a private page. It's like them and their kids. Yeah. They're not about that life, like posting, everywhere they go, every concert, every quote, everything, every saying.
But they're still handling business.
Yeah, they're still handling business.
See, like because life is outside of Instagram. Because like I said, we've gotten to a point now where people feel like if I don't post it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's a sad state of affairs right there. Real quick before we take this first break, I want to talk about the master of the mix, man, because that's something I think that it's funny because you don't really not a braggadocious person to begin with, right? So you're very humble, but you played a part in that, and then you look at how the reality shows have blown up outside of just the housewives and things like that, and where everything's a reality show now. But that's something where it was very creative and very new. I'm pretty sure that that was taking a chance. I mean, that was a risk. Yeah. I mean, how did you get people to convince them that they wanted to do this?
See, that was a team effort. So it really wasn't just me doing it. We all kind of played our part. It was new. You had, from the highest level, you had David Tapscott, who was with Diageo at the time. He was the director on Smirnoff.
Gotcha.
He was one of those executives that got it, that was just like from the culture, that was in the culture, that got it. And then you had, from the agency standpoint, you had my boy Carl Carter, Kimball, Tom, in their team on board from an agency standpoint. So the agency got it. And me, I'm like kind of the person that was kind of like in the center, kind of like a person that would help bring those ideas, help bring the strategy down to life, so that we can actually not just have a cool show, so we can actually move bottles. You know, because at the end of the day, the thing about it was Smirnoff wasn't in the business of making TV shows.
Right.
They were in the business of making Smirnoff.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we couldn't lose sight of that. So my role was to come in because I understand culture and I understand the commercial business of how to move bottles, how to move units, how do we bridge that, how do we bring that all together. So I was the person that was kind of like helping Carl and Kimbo find their vision as much as I can.
Yeah.
They were the creators behind that.
Yeah.
And then my mentor at the time, David Tapscott, who was the director, helping him step down from 30,000 feet down to 10,000 feet to 5,000 feet.
Where
the people are in the nightclubs,
where the people are in the clubs,
retail stores, to bring it all to life.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like that middle guy.
Played your role, man.
I played my role. with that.
You played your role.
But it was the first reality show created and owned by a liquor company.
Wow.
So it definitely made history. And we were on for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
We did BET, VH1, Centric. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm very proud of that.
That was heavy stuff, man. I mean, Kid Capri, Victor Duplay, people like that.
And it was all about the DJ culture, man. Like we've again, the thing about that show was so dope was that there were a lot of like levels to that show. So Smirnoff was a brand that was in transition. Like they were transitioning from like vodka to more the brown spirits at the time.
Right.
Ciroc was booming, so it was like really luxury, high end. So
a lot of stuff
Smirnoff
going
was trying
on.
to find his place. At the same time, you know, back in the day, DJ used to be at the forefront. It was like the DJ and then the MC.
Right.
So the DJs started like falling to the back, and the DJs had to kind of reinvent themselves, like the Khaled's and people like that, to reinvent themselves, start producing and start becoming a personality. But the DJs really were struggling to find their place. So the DJs and Smirnoff kind of had
similar, right?
So like this really was a way to kind of bring the DJ culture back to the forefront, to bring Smirnoff back to the forefront, bring the culture back to the forefront. So it was like so many levels that we connected on that show that might have went over some people's heads, but I just want to bring that to
real quick too. Once again, you know, that goes back to what we were talking about as far as like the education and the things of those sorts. Of being able to look at a big picture as opposed to, like you said, you're looking at it from a unit level, but you're looking at it from a concept level and looking at it from, you know, all these different levels, and that comes from truly not just saying you're a marketer or saying you're an influencer, but being able to pick up those trends and actually see those things, put those things together and bridge those gaps. So I just want people to catch that. But we're going to take a quick break because we're going to come back. We're going to talk about Martell that we have on the table. We're going to talk about some more things he has going. Also, you know, I am ArtbyOdell. This brother talented with some art background as well. So we're going to get into all of that, man. So stay tuned. Odell's Roundtable will be right back.